And now, the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century.
Welcome back. Here we are at the Deep Homie Guide. Today is March 2nd. Spring is on the way. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century. And today I'm here with guest co-host. You guys know him as the past return comedian, Paul Wood.
Hey, what's up, Kay? How you doing?
Not too bad, Paul. How are you, man?
Oh, doing well. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So today we have a lot to talk about. We are going to introduce a whole new segment for you guys today called the Ned Report. Have you heard the last interview I did with Mike Hines? You might have caught this little joke I made about Ned. So, Paul,
I did hear it. Yeah.
So this Ned character was the imaginary character that told you that you should invest in Bitcoin in like 2013, and you were like, shut up, Ned. What do you know, man? What do you know?
Yeah.
But we all wish we would have listened to Ned. And Ned was probably there back in, 2001, being like, hey, this Amazon stock looks pretty good.
Yeah, Ned's the guy who got in on internet dating before anybody believed that the women were real on internet dating.
Well,
he's like, no, I'm talking to this really hot chick. And you're like, I'm sure you are, Ned. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ned, he just doesn't have a lot of credibility, but still, nowadays, Ned is living in the Bahamas, so we all wish that we had listened to him with that chick he met online on Tinder. So,
oh, yeah.
So today we're going to premiere that. Just right off the bat, we're going to go with the Ned Report. And boom, bada bing, bada boom.
The Ned Report.
The Ned Report.
All right, here we are, baby. Should I speak like Ned would speak?
Go ahead.
All right, guys. So there's this new thing, right? It's called NFTs. P. Daddy Woods, have you heard about NFTs?
Yes, because you sent me an article on them, and I started reading it.
What do you mean? We just met today. We just met just now.
Oh, no, I haven't heard of NFTs.
Okay.
So,
anyway, I'm not going to talk like this right now. All right, so NFT, guys, is this, I don't know. It's this thing that's exploding. There's a huge bubble right now. Remember, the Deep Homie Guide, it's a little bit... I know sometimes this Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century might seem a little bit... spread out, but really it's all about being healthy, wealthy, and happy in the 21st century. And we've talked about future trends and ancient wisdom. Future trends, ancient wisdom. Future tech, right? Mm-hmm. Ancient wisdom. So This NFT things could be the next big thing. It's already big. And so NFTs stands for non-fungible tokens. That's a creepy.
Doesn't get any clearer than that, right? I mean, fungible, you can't do it.
So we're like living in this new internet world, Internet 3.0. Everyone's hooked to their phone. Everybody's plugged into the internet. Everything's done through the internet protocol, right? And Internet 3.0 is going to have a lot to do with blockchain, right? So Ethereum and other smart contracts, smart blockchains, all based on the original Bitcoin blockchain, but still different in their own ways. It's more than just a currency, apparently. Ned has been telling me that it's more than just a currency, that it's actually a place for transactions, a whole network, a whole new network, the decentralized network. And as we move into this increasingly digitalized space, you might want to buy and sell assets digitally. Seems a little weird, but you could buy, think about the art world. Like if you would be great. It would be great if you could buy the Mona Lisa right now. Like if you had the money, you would probably buy it.
I'm probably gonna appreciate the older it gets, right?
Yeah, you'd probably be able to sell it for double its worth in 20 years, or because art is so valuable. Well, now you can buy digital art through the blockchain. These are called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible means it's not replaceable by something else. Like, so a non-fungible asset or a fungible asset would be like if you were to go buy a Toyota Camry. They got a zillion of those coming off the line.
Yeah.
But there's only one Mona Lisa. There's only one original, maybe Dogecoin dog, right? That meme that man made, right? Mm-hmm. There's only one original JPEG file. And so hypothetically, you could go ahead and buy the Doge dog, for example. I'm just making this up, but probably. You could buy the Doge dog for whatever you negotiate with the owner of that JPEG image. Maybe it's 1 Ethereum. Maybe it's 2 Ethereum. Maybe it's 10 Ethereums. You buy it that way, and now you and the blockchain, because remember, the blockchain technology is a ledger that shows who has what at any given time. You can't counterfeit. It solves the problem of double counterfeit currency and all that stuff. So the blockchain tells everybody that if you buy it with Ethereum, you now own that Doge dog. And even if people reproduce it as memes, and even if people want to use the image, whatever, we all know that you own the original JPEG file now.
Mm-hmm. And you're saying like Ethereum is one of the platforms, like the networks, or what is the word that you'd use? The Ethereum network that this can exist on?
Yeah, the Ethereum blockchain, authenticated by the blockchain.
Which is different than the Ethereum, like the currency.
Yes, and this is something that I know Ned could tell us more, but he already left.
Yeah.
And like this Ned Report's not always going to be 100% thorough. I'm trying my best to give you every bit of research I've got. But sometimes it's going to just kind of be like, hey guys, I think this is going to be the next best thing, next big thing. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't claim to fully 100% understand this, but it appears the blockchain is used, yes, for more than just currency. Not so much Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is just basically a currency, digital gold. And also, Bitcoin is very slow.
Yeah, scalability.
Right? The scalability issue, yes.
Yeah.
But other coins like Ethereum are actually more than just a coin. Ethereum also, some like Cardano, we talked about that on the last podcast. Yeah. Also probably Polkadot, I believe, and some other ones. Yeah. They can be used for smart contracts, which is what I'm talking about right now.
With the NFTs.
With the NFTs, I believe, which is where you can exchange more than just currency. And it's all done through this decentralized exchange where there's no central authority. And so it's sort of like the algorithm basically means that apparently, you know, if I sell this to you, you have it. And there's no, and it authenticates it through the blockchain. There's no way to really apparently change that.
Yeah. So, like kind of last pod, you were talking with Mike Hines about how Cardano and Polkadot and some other ones are major players in essentially possibly replacing or taking over Ethereum. What you're saying is all of those have that capability. One or two of them is probably going to emerge as a major player in the future. And this is the kind of stuff you can do on their blockchain that is unique to them versus like a Bitcoin or whatever. And yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, just to report on this little Reuters article called "How a 10-Second Video Clip Sold for $6.6 Million" to give you an idea of how seriously some collectors and other people are taking this new NFT space. Let me go ahead and read this first paragraph. London. In October 2020, Miami-based art collector Pablo Rodriguez Frale spent almost $67,000 on a 10-second video artwork that could have been watched for free online by this digital artist called Beeple. Okay? Think about how everybody probably thought that guy was crazy literally in October of just last year. You spent $67,000 on like a digital piece of artwork. What are you thinking? Okay,
what did you call it though? Beeple?
Well, the digital artist is called Beeple.
Oh, the digital artist. Okay, not the work.
Yes.
No,
but at any rate,
that'd be ridiculous if the work was called Beeple.
Long story short, last week he sold this $67,000 investment for $6.6 million.
Wow, he found a bigger, richer sucker.
No, man. I mean, maybe, but honestly, this is crazy. This is because, look, I mean, we're moving into this space, as far as I can tell, right? This show is supposed to be about future trends. Everything's going online. Not just art, but everything, right? So, and I don't even know how much longer it'll be till we're all just wearing VR glasses and we don't even bother to walk around the world anymore and we're just like walking around the internet. But that almost seems like the trajectory, you know what I mean?
Who doesn't dream of that?
Well, you might want to buy things like that. You might want to. Okay, so there's other things, not just art, but it's mostly art at this time, as far as I can tell. But there's a bunch of different, like the new trading cards in this new world. Like I was thinking about this, speculating about it with P. Diddy Woods yesterday. Mm-hmm. Like we're living in an eco generation. Like we don't want to, and it makes sense, right? You don't want to just keep polluting the earth or whatever. So, but we're moving more and more into this eco space where you're probably not going to want to necessarily just cut down a bunch of trees to make playing cards for the NBA or whatever. Mm-hmm. So now they're doing these NFT tradables. You've got NBA Top Shot. That's the NBA site. So you can buy these little NFTs, and now you own a little clip of LeBron James slam dunking over somebody. For example.
So in the increasingly paperless society, you could see that becoming a bigger trend, or even replacing cards, but it wouldn't necessarily have to replace cards to hold value because they could have their own value. These little clips.
Yeah, it's just a new emerging space, similar to the old trading cards, but I guess it's different. There's another site called So Rare, and apparently that seems to be football to the rest of the international world. That's like So Rare is like the NBA Top Shot of soccer.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of other sites that are doing like similar things. And it's a really big bubble right now. Like I said, $6.6 million on a $60,000, $57,000 investment. So this is crazy. I don't know like if this is super like useful necessarily right now, but it appears that NFT space could be a huge part of the future. I think it might expand beyond just trading cards and art. I don't know how exactly, but for example, like it could be music, or it could be film. Like say you wanted to buy the rights to a song that Bruno Mars wrote. Say just for example, Bruno Mars writes a song. Well, yeah, back in the day, you would talk about owning the press, right, or what?
The master.
The master, exactly. You would talk about owning the master,
or points on the album, or whatever the term would be. I don't know all of it.
Right, like when Michael Jackson ended up owning all the rights to the masters of the Beatles at one time.
Yeah,
which really screwed over the Beatles and McCartney. Although I guess in the end they worked out all right, in terms of their riches. But long story short, like if you were to buy the master of Bruno Mars. I don't even know. Maybe there's a vinyl, maybe there's literally a master, but really the master at this point is essentially a digital file. Like that they would, if they were to have a vinyl or whatever, they just print onto the
I would imagine that's a contract, but you're almost saying that like an NFT would be like a way of purchasing it in the future instead of like a written contract. Like this is this token that gives you the rights to that thing, so you own the masters or whatever.
Yeah, and the blockchain, because the blockchain technology has this like decentralized ledger network, you always know who owns any particular thing. Okay. That's the advantage of this blockchain technology, this whole Web 3.0 movement. It's very secure, and you know at any given time who owns what, and that solves a lot of the fraudulent issues and a lot of the duplication issues. So I think it seems like it's a new wave. I hope I'm doing a good enough job of sort of introducing this to the listener. Yeah. I'm sorry that I'm not 100% aware of it. I actually first got alerted to it just for full exposure. Gary Vee. Gary Vee's a big internet promoter, motivator guy, very very popular. And he even said, do your due diligence, do 10, 15 hours of the YouTube digging to understand this NFT stuff. He thinks it's going to be a big deal. I probably did about 3 hours because of my busy schedule. I want to do more. And we'll keep you updated on NFTs in the future. But this could be the next best thing. Thank you, Ned.
Yeah, it could be the next thing that blows up, or you might find an asset that accrues in value, or it might all go bust. Could go either way, right?
Yeah. This is never financial advice in the show. But look, like right now we're in a bubble of NFTs. If you were to go ahead and spend some money on an NFT, you may or may not be able to resell it. For a really known meme, for example, you might be able to go and resell that meme for more than you bought it for. This is just speculation. I'm not trying to encourage speculation. I'm just saying this is an emerging market.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man.
Well put.
Thank you.
Emerging.
All right. So that's been the Ned Report. Thank you, Ned.
No problem, guys.
Oh, he's still downstairs.
Go back outside. Ned.
Leela, get back in your cell.
Yeah.
All right.
Propaganda report.
Uh-oh. Paul, we're going to go into the controversial part.
Let's do it.
Oh, baby.
Propaganda.
Baby. Oh, all right. So, here we go on the propaganda report.
I just want to check the time, mark the point where we get canceled.
Yeah, so this is, today is March 2nd, 2021, and this is going to be the moment in time they reference in 3 years when we have any modicum.
How dare they?
Well, you know what? I wanted to... This propaganda corner is an attempt to remain neutral in a world of craziness. It's an attempt, and of course it's impossible. Everyone has their own biases. But, me being a shitty comedian, and P. Daddy Woods being a decent comedian,
oh my God. Come on. We're in the same boat.
I still put you down just now, right?
Yeah, I know, but
I just put myself down more. No, I'm just kidding. We're we're all right.
Yeah.
We're just new to it. I mean, he's been around for 2 years. I've been around it for 1 or so with the comedy space. But who cares?
Mm-hmm.
One day we'll hopefully be funny. Just kidding. We're funny. So anyway, the reason why I want to talk a little cancel culture update today. In terms of this whole outrage culture, this whole cancellation culture. And I wanted to quote Edward Bernays. Where'd he go? Edward Bernays, guys. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He was very popular in the early 20th century. He wrote this book called propaganda.
Yeah, and the inventor of mayonnaise, right?
What are you talking about? Wasn't that
Hellman, I think Hellman's murdered him.
What are you talking about, dude?
And Bernays, he named it after him, mayonnaise.
Oh.
No? All right. Guys, I was trying.
Went right over my head. Okay, he's just trying to prove he's funny.
Yeah.
He's just trying to prove that he's funnier than me.
Now I'm desperate.
All right, so, dude, look, this Edward Bernays guy, he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and he was considered the father of public relations, which is kind of like marketing and stuff, whatever. Or as he called it, the engineering of consent. Ooh. Sounds kind of spooky.
Engineering of consent?
Yeah.
That sounds like a really smart guy who makes girls sign something before he dates them.
I heard, yeah, bro. Anyway, you might want to do that these days anyway, guys. Fellas out there, you might want to have them sign before they come up to the bedroom. Yeah. Just to keep yourself safe. But, and ladies maybe ladies too. Mm-hmm. And but anyway, he was very involved in the World War I effort with the Allies, helping to sell the war, remember, to the Americans. Remember, the Americans were not involved in World War I for the first, I don't know how long, but for a while they were not involved. They did not enter. And Bernays, along with Walter Lippmann and other excellent sort of psychological manipulating public relations guys, helped to sell this war. They called it they needed America to go because they needed to make the world safe for democracy, right? And they demonized the Germans and all that other stuff, whatever. So they got America involved in the war, and the rest was history. So I just wanted to quote a little bit about, just a quick quote from propaganda, just to give you an idea of what he means by what propaganda is. Where'd it go? Hopefully we'll be able to find this page here. All right.
And this book is literally called Propaganda.
Yeah, it's a great book. I think everybody should check it out to understand sort of how the manipulation of public opinion comes about vis-a-vis the elite, if you would, vis-a-vis the media or the governments and the other people who are dictating, more or less, I would put it, more or less the framing of any particular issue. It's not even so much like I wouldn't go so far and necessarily I don't really talk about fake news as much as maybe like Donald Trump or somebody else or these other far-right guys would talk about. I don't think news depends on the issue, but I think in general the news, propaganda-wise, it's more like they shape it in a way so that it sort of hasn't. They highlight certain things and then they don't talk about other things. You know what I mean?
Or if I may, the article you're about to show right after this quote, I mean, kind of points perfectly to what you're trying to say. If they're framing something, they're telling you how to feel.
Exactly.
It's not just informational. It is now this is information and this is how you should feel about it. Right in a headline, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. But just maybe this will help to sort of understand what's going on here. So, universal literacy was supposed to educate the common man to control his environment. Once he could read and write, he would have a mind fit to rule. So ran the democratic doctrine. But instead of a mind, universal literacy has given him rubber stamps inked with advertising slogans, with editorials with published scientific data, with the trivialities of the tabloids and the platitudes of history, but quite innocent of original thought. Each man's rubber stamps. Why is this so funny? Each man's rubber stamps are the duplicates of millions of others, so that when these million are exposed to the same stimuli, all receive identical imprints. It may seem an exaggeration to say that the American public gets most of its ideas in this wholesale fashion. The mechanism by which ideas are disseminated on a large scale is propaganda in the broad sense of an organized effort to spread a particular belief or doctrine. All right.
Wow. I didn't get the full half end, but that is awesome.
Well, it's sort of like these rubber stamps, right? These molds they give us. Like I'd say, especially, and he's talking about in a democracy, because if you were to live in a monarchy or maybe if you lived in China right now under a one-party rulership, you would receive the propaganda from a centralized location. But in a democracy, as he's talking about, it sort of comes down through these different mechanisms, through the media, through the government. At any rate, I just want to talk a little bit about this gentleman, Rush Limbaugh, who passed away last week. Right-leaning radio talk show host, provocateur, definitely. Had a show for maybe over 30 years or so, doing 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday. One of the most watched, listened to talk radio shows in history. And, this guy had a very complicated legacy. And I guess I'm just trying to say that I want to live in a more nuanced world, a world with less propaganda. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to fight back, This guy, I read a couple articles, like an NPR obituary to him, a New York Times obituary to him. And, I feel that they definitely concentrated a lot on his horrible things that he did in his career. Mm-hmm. The guy did. I'm just gonna give some credence to that. He did do some terrible things, like on his talk show in the early '90s. He had like a AIDS countdown or something for the AIDS victims.
That sounds terrible.
Inexcusable. Although to be fair, we definitely lived in a more homophobic culture at large at the time, but still inexcusable in my eyes. Absolutely. Yep. I definitely want to defend our gay brothers and sisters or whatever, or anybody who dies of AIDS. That's not cool. He also in 2003 he had a.
I'm with that too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh man. All right, man. All right.
No, not the AIDS count. The part where we were compassionate towards other human beings.
And he, in 2003, he said something. He was on, they let him on ESPN, and he was like trying to make a weird political point about Donovan McNabb being like almost like a, they wanted a black quarterback or something. That was creepy.
That's when I remember that one was really particularly a little odd. That I was like, what, huh? Why?
Yeah, they highlighted like in 2012, I want to believe, Sandra Fluke. She was testifying before Congress, and he was calling her like a whore or a slut or something like that because she wanted contraceptives in the bill. All this stuff. He did a lot of nasty things, I think.
He is not the one who said nappy-headed.
No.
Sorry.
That was Don Imus, another. Okay. He was even more of a shock jock, like a real provocateur, more like a Howard Stern mold.
You're right at 5. That kind of thing.
I don't know, man.
We're getting wild tonight. Baby. Woo!
But anyway, I just wanted to say about this guy, Rush Limbaugh. I don't agree with any of these grievous things. I don't agree with him slandering feminazis, all that stuff. It's horrible what he did with the AIDS victims. But something that they didn't really seem to say on the NPR article, on the New York Times article, this guy was extraordinarily talented. He just was one of the best talkers I've heard. And I don't profess to agree with all his points. I think all the nasty things he did are of good. It's very good to point those things out. But I think America should be a little more proud. I wish the media was a little bit more forgiving, because the guy, I believe he was an authentic person. He believed in the conservative ideals he was pushing. He believed in the founding fathers and all that stuff. He wrote these books for children called like the Paul Revere series and all this stuff. And he was hardworking, 3 hours a day of talking for 30 years. Like, I'm only doing this podcast for like an hour and a half or the most a week. Like, it's a lot of work already. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say like, oh my God, Rush is the best person ever. Like, oh my God. I'm just saying like, he could talk better than half you motherfuckers. Sorry.
I can't act like I listen to him a lot, but I'm a little shocked just at like the world we live in of, yeah, obviously he's not blameless. Like, obviously he's made mistakes, all that stuff, but I don't want to live in a world where we like can't be influenced by somebody who said something controversial at some point. I don't want to live in a situation like as Rush Limbaugh used to say, blah blah blah. Like that shouldn't equate you to everything he ever did. Like,
no.
I hate the idea that like what Bill Cosby did is terrible, right?
Yeah.
Bill reportedly it's all true, like rapist, all those things. That's awful, and I'm so glad that he's getting in trouble for it. Like, hopefully less people get raped in the future. Yes. That doesn't negate the fact.
I agree.
Yeah. That doesn't negate the fact that apparently his show is really, really, really funny, and I don't want people to say like not be able to say, oh, I was deeply influenced by his show or his comedy, or like kids say the darndest things, or whatever it is. Now, I mean, that looks way less innocent now, but
I couldn't agree more. I think that Cosby he had some unbelievable stand-up during his tenure before all that. Well, he you can say yes and with these guys. You can say yes. Excuse me. You can say yes, Cosby was a rapist.
Yeah.
And Cosby was a comic genius. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's really my message.
Comedic genius rapist.
And it's not funny, Paul. It's not funny. But Michael Jackson, by all accounts, may or may not, probably was a child diddler. Was he still the best singing motherfucker of all time? Pretty much best dancing, singing motherfucker. He's in the conversation. I still listen to Michael Jackson to this day. Same thing with Patrice O'Neal. They had a documentary last week. Patrice O'Neal. We checked it out.
We watched together because we're real friends in real life, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But my point being that Patrice O'Neal, now if you listen to some of his stand-up, if you watch the just first 2 minutes of his unbelievable Elephant in the Room special, one of the few specials he did, or maybe the only special he did prior to his demise of diabetes-related whatever, he was a misogynistic guy. He didn't have a high opinion of women, as far as I could tell. I mean, he kind of had a pimp style towards women, and as far as I could say, and it comes across in a lot of his stand-up.
Yeah,
but
like some of his comments would be eyebrow raising. Like, you said what?
You said what?
Where are you going with it? Then it'd be a great, funny idea, but you'd be like, just don't agree with the starting lines. Great,
but still, I will even say, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I don't think Paul's as familiar with his work or is into it, but I think Patrice O'Neal is one of the great comic geniuses. Along with Louis C.K. So look, I'm in this position where I'm like out here being like, yo, check out all these horrible people that I like. But that's it's a yes and situation.
Yeah, like you're not negating what Patrice O'Neal was guilty of or Louis C.K., but you're also not trying to erase the fact that they are also like ridiculously talented comedians. Like, I watched that documentary about Patrice O'Neal. Didn't know that much about him. I've listened to a special or two, or an album or two. I don't even want to say a special or two, an album or two. And some of our comic friends, Ellinger, those guys, they know, like they say like, this is one of my favorite comedians, like who I model my comedy style afterwards. So I check them out because you guys are saying, yo, check them out. And like, yeah, mad respect for his abilities, and I think I gained a lot of appreciation for the skill and talent he had, his presence on stage, the way it just felt like a conversation. Just he really, really, really funny dude. Like, what else is there to say? But
all right, so that's it for the propaganda corner today. I know that we get re-canceled every episode, so it's fine, right?
I'm good with that because somebody's got to say like, yo,
somebody's got to say it.
Yeah, like.
There's ideology, but then there's also just ability. You might not agree with some ideology that Grush was saying. You might not agree where he's coming from. You got to admire the technique, the skill this guy had.
I think that's a great tagline: ideology versus ability. Like, that's like, there's ideology, but there's ability. Game respects game, right?
That.
Science fiction coming true.
All right, so. This week, in the brave new world that we're living in, they premiered Boston Dynamics dogs with the NYPD force. They actually have these robotic dogs, and you can see it on Fox 5. If you type it in, New York Fox 5, I believe, you can see the NYPD using these robot dogs called Digi-Dogs, manufactured by Boston Dynamics, that are now patrolling the streets in the Bronx, or at least one of them. They had a test case where it's patrolling the streets. Could you describe this dog for the listeners who aren't watching right now, Paul?
Like a creepy poodle without the fur.
And bird legs that bend the wrong way.
Yeah. I don't think he's winning a dog show competition, like Best in Show.
Well, this dog, like, this is some futuristic stuff, my friends.
Yeah.
Like, look at this thing. It's got sensors on it, LiDAR, it's got a camera, it's got audio, and the NYPD is defending it in the video, saying that they can use this to go into line of fire situations.
Refresh my memory. What's LiDAR? I've heard it a couple times, and I think I know it.
I believe it's a space detecting, like
three-dimensional
radar style.
Okay. Something between radar, sonar, kind of seeing everything around him.
And it does well at night. That's why they put them on the new iPhone 12s.
Okay.
They put them on there because it does really well for like night vision kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So
it does good. It helps to autofocus the iPhone 12 at night.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I actually knew something there. Great.
It's great.
So, but they got these dogs. They did put on its first case last week, I believe, and it was a home invasion case. And they sent the dog in where they thought it was a very dangerous situation so that the police could watch from afar and talk from afar. They could actually talk through the dog.
So you can maybe diffuse the situation without using guns or other force, violent force.
Yeah. And, like, it's... this is...
That little prance before it moves. Pop. That's the one that's like, what is going on?
Well, how much longer do these things just patrolling the streets all over the place?
Yeah.
I don't feel good about having these creepy robot dogs in the
streets. It's like they heard, we need police reform, and they were like, we need to put Transformers in the police, so they were like, they got robots.
Well, I mean, they did say in this. They did say in the article. They did say in the article that the crime in New York City is up majorly in the last year. So
Okay.
they want to do this new effort to do something where the officers aren't in the line of fire necessarily in dangerous situations. But I mean, isn't this oddly getting close to that?
But hopefully it also leads to less dangerous situations for the civilians in the world, you know?
Oh, I mean, it's just a matter of like, this is too similar. This is just a little too similar to that episode of Black Mirror called Metalhead. And it's an episode in black and white from I want to say the 4th season. And it's this episode. It's sort of like a Terminator style episode. You know,
Oh my gosh.
Where there's this horrible, basically a Boston Robotics robot. Basically, it's a dog, and
It's pretty similar.
and it's got at this point in the futuristic dystopia, it has gone haywire. It's gone iRobot on us.
He's doing his R2D2 right here.
Oh yeah, he is. But now this episode is a whole chase. Like this lady and her friends are trying to get away from these robot dogs that have now basically taken on a life of their own sentience or whatever, and are chasing them around to murder them. I don't know why or
and
how.
This was for jaywalking, or what did they do?
I don't know what the offense was. Maybe it was just the fact that they're alive and they're like polluting the planet with their human like gases. I don't know.
Yeah.
What it is. Maybe these are eco-friendly dogs, and they're just like, these guys keep farting, and the methane is just ruining the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
But this is. I couldn't help but think of these episodes. Of this episode.
I mean, I think it's strikingly similar. Obviously not identical, but I mean, it doesn't.
Look, it's got
like
the lidar going.
That's okay.
Well,
Gotcha.
not literally, but like
That's-
a lidar thing. Yeah.
That's the robot doggy cam right there.
Yeah.
I think it's pointing out some really creepy stuff. But what's this one?
Well, I couldn't help but pull up more Boston Dynamics dogs. This is the fastest one. It's called the Wildcat.
That one's got the helmets.
Yeah.
That's the Wildcat.
Well, this is a gas-powered engine. Look, it goes like 30. It goes like 30 miles per hour. And then this one's here's an example of how strong these spot dogs are. Look at this. We got a team of them pulling a truck. There's about 10 of them, I believe, pulling an entire semi-truck.
Yeah, this feels like
They're a lot stronger than us.
Until you see the truck, you're like, oh, it's gonna be like Santa's sleigh or something, you know?
Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus. Down Santa Claus. All right, and then we got one more reel. This is the big dog from Boston Dynamics, and
Got you.
okay, this is more like this could
That's
be
the
used.
all-terrain one.
This is the all-terrain one they would use for like
They
military.
call that the
applications.
mountain lion or what? What do they call that?
No, big dog. Big dog.
Big dog.
It kind of looks like two dogs in one. It's really creepy.
It's just it's the move up. You know what I mean? It looks like two people. Like it looks like if you ever worked at Target and you see this, they have on the package a team lift where you're supposed to lift the object with two people.
Yeah.
It looks like, all right, let's lift it up. You know.
Yeah.
But it ends at like where the butt should start.
Yeah. Look at that thing, man. This is, my biggest problem I'm going to have in this weird future we're moving into with robots all over the place is like, I'm such like a little like soft heart, or like I'm such a weirdo, like into cute things so much. I'm going to be like petting these robots like, hey buddy, how are you? Like, I just love little pets
Dude,
and
it
stuff
didn't
so
fall
much.
over. Did you see that? The guy kicked it.
What?
They kicked it and it was like it just recovered.
What?
And then it said, "Excuse me," very politely. No, I'm just kidding.
So you guys could definitely check out these Boston Dynamics videos. They're all over YouTube. They got their own YouTube page. And hey, I'm not saying that these are going to take over the world. I'm just saying they might. So just pay attention, and let's see where we go here. So anyway, P. Diddy Woods has to step out.
I do.
But thank you, P. Diddy Woods, for
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, I'll catch you soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, man.
I wish I could have done the next segment.
Oh, it's all good, bro. We got our final segment here, and
I'm just gonna leave my stuff, bro.
oh yeah. No worries, brother.
All right, thanks, Deep Homie Verse, for having me.
Why am I waving? See ya, P. I hope everybody had a good time with P today. Yay, P's awesome. We're gonna get canceled together and never gonna have a job ever again. See ya, dog.
All right, talk to you in about an hour. Bye.
All right, dog. Peace. So, let's see. All right. Click this button here.
Motivate.
All right, so in this last little segment here, now that I'm all alone, I miss him already. I just wanted to so I'm glad. I think that today we kept things a little snappier for you. I think I like having P here. I like having a co-host to kind of come back and forth with. I would love to hear your feedback. See if you like the tandem style more than the solitary style, one way or the other. But I just wanted to, we did the little snappy bits. We talked about the robots, We talked a little bit about these news articles, the propaganda, and we gave you the Ned Report. So we're giving you some killer information on this podcast. But now just give me a little 10 minutes to bloviate, but not to bloviate, really. I want to just take the last 10 minutes of this podcast to give you, as far as I can tell, a very, very strong, maybe coalescence of like the philosophy, I guess, that I'm espousing on this podcast, that I kind of mentioned in the first podcast and the third podcast especially. This whole concept of self-improvement and world improvement. And I want to give you one more metaphor for what I mean by that. Now, on the third episode, I talked about the psychedelic vision I had, where I was imagining how the social and moral bonds between us all are so integral that we're all in this world matrix together. We're all bobbing up and down like surfers in a wave, right? And as the surfers come through, we're all affected by those waves, and that's like this. We're all connected in these waves, right? But I don't think that fully explains what I meant by how important your self journeying, your self-health, and your self-development is to world health. So I want to give you another metaphor, and I think this one's easier and better. So just imagine that the world is like a body. The world being our community, like the social community. Even the geographical world, but more so the human community, right? It's like one body, the human race or whatever. We're all together in a body, right? And I just want to be clear again, everybody. I mean, black, white, queer, straight, and everything in between. Yellowish, brown like me. That's what happens when you're from the Mediterranean. So everybody is part of this. Everybody is part of this. And this biological metaphor is like everybody is like a cell, right, in this body. Everybody's like a cell. Some people have more notoriety and influence. They might be more like a organ. Some people might be like less important, maybe not even less important, but less visible, less connected one way or another to other people. They might be even more like an organelle. So it's even smaller than a cell. But most people, we're all like cells, right? Organelles, cells, and organs in this body. Now, being healthy as that cell, there's physical, mental, social, moral elements to doing that, to being healthy and developing yourself and self-improving, self-developing. But it's so integral that you are not just healthy, right? Like you're a semblance of health, like I said, staying somewhat moderately healthy, moving around, all that other stuff, attempting not to be on an episode of My 600-Pound Life, for example. I want everyone to be modestly healthy, but I think mental health is so important in terms of you following that dream that you wanted to do, all that other stuff. Because if even one cell is unhealthy, right, that can metastasize into cancer. Or even worse, if an organ is unhealthy, like a whole community or whatever, or one very influential figure is unhealthy, and that means they're not chasing the dream, / they're physically unhealthy, / they're emotionally a wreck, / they're not getting along with people around them. All that stuff has to do with this. It's a very holistic view. But when any element is unhealthy, the whole organism is affected. That's how we're all connected in this. So this is like an enlightened self-interest. I'm not saying to be selfish. I'm saying that if you are if your community is a jaundiced liver, that affects the immune system, that affects the circulatory system, that affects the neurological, it affects everything. I'm not a doctor. So it's so important that you are holistically healthy as a cell, part of this world body. And in my estimation, that means not just taking care of yourself physically and not just getting along with the people around you socially and morally, also following that dream, and this is the whole Jungian psychology that I was trying to bring into the third episode, that hero's journey that you have authentically to chase. Because if you don't chase that journey, whatever that may or may not be, that journey is different for every single person. Some people's journey, in my estimation, would be to be a firefighter when they grow up. That's their dream. Some people want to be an activist when they grow up. That's their dream. Or when they grow up. That's their dream. Some people want to be Richie Rich when they grow up. Some people want to be a nurse. Some people want to do a lot of different things. That's why we have such a wonderful variety on this planet. There's so many different careers and options. Some people want to be the next Gandhi. Some people want to be the next Martin Luther King. These are the dreams. These are the private dreams that you have. And when you tap into that dream, you tap into your own power, you go after it, you are better as a cell of this world body. You are healthier. You are happier. I'm not an expert, but I believe you're probably going to be less depressed. There's less chance of all that. I'm not an expert. This is not medical advice. So that's sort of the philosophy here. It's an enlightened self-interest that takes into account how we're all together in this together. But just imagine, like, I've known people like this. Haven't you guys known people like this? I've known family members, for example, who are unhappy. Why? Because they worked a 9 to 5. They didn't want to work. It was like this Kafka-esque metamorphosis style job they didn't want to go to. They didn't like it. Every day, day after day, they're working diligently, nobly to support themselves / their family, but they're not happy. And that unhappiness, because they didn't strive for whatever it was they wanted to do, but wasn't necessarily going to bring the financial gain, or it had too much risk. Because they didn't go after that, they were less happy, and that actually affected the family, that actually affected the friends, that actually affected a lot of their mental health. I hope I'm making sense here. I'm basically saying that your dream is important to your health and to everybody's health. And I hope I'm making this clear now. I don't know if I am or not. Unfortunately, P-Dog had to dip out. He is P. Daddy Woods. He does have children to take care of. So we got to give him props to that, But this is what I mean with the whole tying in self-development and world development. It starts, be the change you want to be in the world kind of thing. I think that's a misquote of Gandhi, but it's the essence of the idea. Yeah. So I wrote, like, in my opinion, by following your highest passion or dream and being able to achieve a flow state by doing those things that you really want to do, you are in doing it in a Jungian hero kind of way. You're following your dreams, your passion, your talent. You are, in addition to doing that with self-care, you are thereby actually creating the best world organism, the overall healthiest organism, the highest functioning economy, but also society and well-being, and you tap into your own inner power. All right? So I hope that gives an idea of what I mean once again. And I just want to give one little story or one little example to wrap up, to be clear about what I mean. I remember when I'm a graduate of Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York. And before I go any further, I want to say, I know sometimes I kind of rail. I feel like I'm sounding like I'm railing against my time at college, especially in the second episode I talked about, how it felt like there was no comedy at Vassar. And I think that was sort of true. But I also want to give props to Vassar and all the people I met there. I really think that was one of the coolest communities I have had a chance to be a part of. I didn't like what felt like imposed social censorship. But besides that, man, like, it was, I loved it. All right. I loved going to Vassar. I miss a lot of the people there. Just imagine, like, just a community, like this hodgepodge, like there were like freaking future Harvard medical graduates. I know one. There were jazz musicians. One of my best friends was a jazz musician. Another one is an LA filmmaker. There were random international econ students who were about to make $30,000 over the summer during their internship. There were freaking like left-wingers, non-ironically publishing Marxist revolutionary texts like on campus. There were black activists. There were queer dudes walking around looking like leprechauns. This was like the best place ever. Like, I loved it. I love diversity. I absolutely love different points of view. And I loved the crazy hodgepodge we had there. It was tremendous. So props to Vassar College. Love you, Vassar College. Loved the experience. Didn't love what felt like maybe a little bit of a tamper on free speech, but you know what? It is college after all. It is what it is. But I just want to share a little example. When my senior year there, I remember I was talking to this lovely young woman who was also a senior. I'm not going to mention her name, but she I was talking to her, and she was like, "What are you going to do when you leave Vassar?" And I was like, "Well, I always wanted to be a musician, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. I don't know. Like, I just like making art and stuff. I hope I can just make that happen, you know? Right? And I know that sounds so like whatever, but it was what it was, and that's what it is. And she was like, oh, cool. I'm like, what do you want to do? She said, I want to change the world. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah. I said, what do you mean? Well, she said she wants to make sure that people aren't in poverty. Like, I don't know. She said she wanted to make the world a more just place, more social justice. And nowadays I see her, and she's on, she's part of an organization. I'm not going to even mention the name. I don't want to, you know, but it's an anti-eviction organization that actually works down in the Hudson Valley to make sure that low-income people and otherwise marginalized peoples who are being evicted by the banks because they can't pay their bills for one reason or another, they're there to help support those people, to help give emergency payments, to stop the eviction, sometimes to protest if need be, to keep people in their homes and keep people where they live, you know? And I think that's awesome. Yeah. Do I think people should also pay their bills? Yes, probably that would be good. But do I think it's important to help those in need? Absolutely. Now, do I think the world's a better place that she is following her authentic dream, her Jungian dream, her hero dream of helping to stop evictions, to create a more just world? Yes. Yes, I think it's better. Do I think it's better that I'm authentically trying to speak my truth, to create art, to create these podcasts, to get my message out there, to try to do whatever it is that I'm dreaming of? Yes. Yes. Does it matter the result? Does it matter if she stops every eviction in history? Does it matter if this podcast is or is not successful, or if anybody ever listens to the music I release? Not really. Not really. These dreams, really, it's really about pursuing it in the end, isn't it? If you fail, hey, at least you tried, right? You don't got to be like you don't have to be that guy who's like, yeah, it's not, you don't have to just like live a life where you feel like you never did it. You never tried it, because that is going to affect your family. That's going to affect the people around you, and that's going to cripple your happiness. So this enlightened self-interest is not necessarily self-interest at all. Those dreams that come to you, those authentic passions, you don't really have a choice. This is almost like, I'm almost saying there's not as much free will as we want. In a way, you don't really have a choice of what you dream and what you want and what you need, you know? So I'm really happy that she is living her life as an activist and doing the thing that she wanted to do, creating joy in her own way in the world. And I'm happy that, and I think I should volunteer sometimes. I think I should give to the poor. I think I should probably support politicians who support just policies. But I don't think the lifestyle that she is living, like, I don't think it's necessary that I become like a full-time activist, because that's not authentic. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see why I feel that your personal dream is so important to the well-being of everybody? Because if I were to put everything down right now, to put this podcast down, to put my guitars down, to delete my video editing software, and to go out in the streets and start picketing with them, and to start to work to raise money to support these people that are being evicted, that would be an objectively good thing to do. But would I be happy? Would I be happy if I went to live on an island like Mother Teresa or whatever and help out the poorest people there ever were? That would be amazing for the world, but it's not authentic for me, so I wouldn't be happy. It's important that we have this balance, right? And I hope I'm making sense. I'm just trying to clarify the message of this podcast, why it's important, in my opinion, to follow your dream in the 21st century, and why that makes the rest of us stronger and better. And we got to appreciate the diversity that happens with that, you know? Got to appreciate the diversity that happens. Some people are going to be more activists. Some people are going to be a little bit more Wall Streety. Some people are going to be a little bit more medical. Some people are going to be a little bit more liberal. Some people are going to be a little bit more conservative. Just trying to show respect, you know, to everyone's own personal situation and their own dreams. And I'm just trying to be there to support everybody, insofar as those dreams are reasonably compatible with the success of the greater organism, the world being. All right, so we had our little 10-minute philosophical moment. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you, Deep Homie Gang. You guys are the lifeblood. You listeners are the guys. You guys are the people that are keeping this podcast going. I do this for you. And I hope you guys enjoyed the segments today. Yeah, please like or subscribe on YouTube, DeepHomieK. Follow me on Instagram, at DeepHomie. And, you know. Oh, no. It's over. Oh man, it's all over again, dude. Not again. I get so sad when these things end. I love talking to you guys. I love talking to P. Daddy Woods today. Well.
And now, the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st century.
But we'll be back. We'll be back next week. And you guys never, ever, ever, ever forget.
Remember, keep it deep, homies.